Time is one of the biggest illusions we get trapped by. We look at the clock, we scroll through social media, we see friends getting promotions, people buying houses, someone younger launching a business or going viral, and this voice creeps into your head that says, "I'm too late." But let me tell you something that will absolutely change the way you move through life. You are not late. Time is relative, not a deadline. We've been taught to treat life like a checklist: graduate by 22, get a job by 25, married by 30, successful by 35, and if you miss any of those markers, you feel like you failed. You feel like you're behind, but here's what nobody told you: those timelines are made up. They are cultural expectations, not universal truths. Your timeline is your own, and it's not meant to look like anyone else's. You see, success, fulfillment, and growth do not come with an expiration date. The idea that if you don't start by a certain age or achieve something by a certain time, you've somehow missed the boat. That idea is complete garbage. There is no boat. There's just your life and the decisions you make starting right now. Think about this for a second. Who decided what late even means? Who defined the rulebook you're measuring yourself against? Most of the time, it's not you. It's pressure from society, from your family, from social media, from that imaginary version of your life you thought you'd be living by now. But the truth is, those external voices have nothing to do with what you're capable of building. Time doesn't get to dictate whether or not you succeed. Your commitment does. When you were a kid learning to walk, nobody said, "Oh, she's still crawling at 11 months, forget it. It's too late for her." No. Everyone understood that growth takes time. Everyone cheered when you fell down because falling meant you were trying. And somewhere along the way, we stopped cheering for effort and started shaming ourselves for not having it all figured out. That's the real problem. Not time, but our beliefs about what time should mean. Here's the deal: every single day, people all over the world start over. They leave careers, they end relationships, they launch businesses, they pick up new skills, they write books, and not one of them is too late. Because the concept doesn't exist when you're actually doing the work. Time only feels like an enemy when you're standing still. And I know you might be thinking, but I've wasted so much time already. Let me reframe that for you. Maybe you needed that time. Maybe that time wasn't wasted. It was preparing you. You were collecting experiences, lessons, grit, everything you need to make this next chapter the most powerful one yet. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from wisdom. That's not being late. That's being ready. There's a psychological principle called neuroplasticity. It's the idea that your brain can change and grow at any age. You are literally wired for reinvention. Your mind and body are designed to learn new things, to adapt, to begin again. That science alone blows up the myth that it's too late for you. Your biology doesn't even believe in too late. What matters isn't the hour on the clock, the number on your birth certificate, or how far ahead someone else is. What matters is that you decide right now that you're still in the game, that your best days aren't behind you, they're still waiting for you to show up, that you have something to say, something to build, something to give, and that the time to begin is always now. So the next time you start to feel like it's too late, pause and ask yourself, according to who? Because unless that answer is your own inner truth saying, "I'm done," then it's not valid. It's noise, and your job is to tune that noise out and start anyway. You are not late. You are right on time for your path, your growth, your moment. And you know what? This moment could be the very beginning of everything you've been waiting for, but it only starts when you do. Comparison is one of the most dangerous habits we fall into, and it's almost always silent. It sneaks up on you. You could be feeling fine, and then you open your phone and scroll through someone else's highlight reel, someone who looks like they've got it all together, and suddenly you're questioning, Everything about yourself, your goals, your timing, your self-worth. That's how fast comparison can steal your motivation. And when it comes to starting something new or chasing a dream, comparison is the number one reason most people don't even begin. We live in a world that makes comparison easy. Social media has turned everyone's life into a public scoreboard. You see someone younger than you buying a house, and you start to feel behind. You see someone your age running a successful business, and suddenly your day job doesn't feel good enough. You see someone living a life that looks perfect, and you wonder if you missed your shot. But here's what you need to know: comparison is not reality. It's a distortion. You're comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's edited moment. It's not fair, and it's not honest. What's even more important is this: comparison will paralyze you. It doesn't inspire action. It triggers shame. Instead of moving forward, you hesitate. You feel like if you can't do it like them or get there as fast as they did, then maybe it's not worth trying at all. That's the lie comparison feeds you, and it's powerful because it takes your focus off what you can control and locks it onto something you never could: someone else's journey. Let's break this down in real terms. Imagine you're in a race, but instead of looking at your own path, you spend the entire time looking sideways at the person in the next lane. You'll trip, you'll lose speed, you might even run off course. That's what comparison does. It distracts you from your own growth. And the truth is, the only race that matters is the one you're running with yourself. Nobody else is on your timeline. Nobody else has lived your life. Nobody else has your perspective, your voice, your purpose. Here's where it gets even deeper. Comparison makes you forget how far you've already come. It wipes out your progress and replaces it with someone else's success story. But success isn't one size fits all. Just because someone else is doing it differently or doing it earlier doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means they're on a different route. So stop looking sideways. Start looking inward. There's a quote that says, "Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. That's not just a clever line. It's a real mindset shift. You have no idea what someone else went through to get where they are. You don't see the nights they cried, the jobs they lost, the rejections they faced, the debt they carried, or the failures they kept hidden. All you see is the polished moment they chose to share, and that moment has nothing to do with your worth or your potential. You are not behind. You're not less than. You are simply at a different point in your story. And guess what? Every single successful person you admire was once in the place you're in now, wondering if it's too late, questioning if they had what it takes, comparing themselves to people ahead of them. The difference is they kept going. They chose to stay focused on their lane. So if you want to move forward, if you really want to start, and not just wish you had, then you have to stop looking at everyone else. Your power is in your focus. Your progress depends on your ability to block out the noise and come home to your own voice that says, "This matters to me. I'm not giving up. I will do this even if I'm the last one to start." There is no award for being first. There is only fulfillment in being true to your journey. And the moment you stop comparing, you get your power back. You stop chasing timelines that don't fit your life. You stop trying to match a pace that doesn't serve your growth. And instead, you begin to build something real, something lasting, something that's yours. So the next time you catch yourself scrolling, judging, doubting, stop, breathe, remind yourself, "I'm not them, I'm me, and that's enough." Then get back to your path and take the next step. Because forward is forward, and your lane is waiting. Your past doesn't define you. Your brain is not fixed. That's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn, and science backs it up. The idea that you're too old to start something new, too set in your ways to change, or too far gone to make a comeback, that idea isn't just wrong. It's outdated and completely false. Neuroscience has proven something incredible. Your brain is constantly changing. It's built to adapt, learn, and grow at any age. This ability is called neuroplasticity, and once you understand it, you'll never again say, "It's too late for me." For most of our lives, we've been told that our brains are like concrete, that by the time we reach adulthood, our habits are locked in, our personality is set, and our ability to grow is limited. But now we know that's not true. Your brain is more like clay, moldable, responsive, and always capable of being reshaped through new experiences, new skills, and even new beliefs. That means every time you choose to learn something new, take a risk, or break an old pattern, you are literally rewiring your brain. You're not just changing your behavior, you're changing the way your brain is structured. So let's put this in real life terms. Say you've always believed you're bad with money, or you've told yourself you're not creative or not disciplined enough to stick to goals. That belief may feel like truth, but it's actually just a pattern, a pathway your brain has traveled so many times it's become automatic. But here's the amazing part. The moment you decide to challenge that belief and act differently, by reading a book about personal finance, practicing a new creative hobby, or setting a small goal and keeping it, you begin to form new pathways in your brain. The more you walk those new paths, the stronger they become until one day they're the default. You've changed not only your behavior, but your identity. This is why it's never too late to start, because your brain wants to grow. It was designed to evolve. The same brain that once learned how to tie your shoes, drive a car, or use a smartphone is still capable of learning how to build a business, write a book, learn a new language, or heal from the past. Age doesn't stop that process. Inaction does. Think about this. If you go to the gym and lift weights, your muscles respond by growing stronger. If you stop moving, they weaken. The brain works the same way. The more you challenge it, the more it adapts. And just like building muscle, rewiring your brain takes consistent effort. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen every day you show up for yourself. Another incredible thing about neuroplasticity is that it applies to your emotional life too. If you've been stuck in anxiety, self-doubt, or fear of failure, those feelings are real, but they're also connected to thought patterns that can be changed. You can train your brain to respond differently. You can learn to recognize negative thoughts and replace them with more empowering ones. You can develop resilience. You can become someone who takes action despite fear. That's not some fluffy motivational idea. It's neuroscience, and here's what's even more encouraging. You don't need to make giant changes all at once. Small, repeated actions are enough to start the rewiring process. Something as simple as journaling for 5 minutes, walking for 10, reading 1 page, or making 1 phone call can begin to shift the way you think and feel. Every tiny decision you make in the direction of your growth builds your belief, and belief is everything. When you believe you're capable, even in a small way, you start to act differently. And those different actions lead to different results. So if you're sitting there thinking you're too late, too old, too far behind, stop. That's just a thought. And thoughts aren't facts. You can't change the past, but you can decide what happens next. And your next move doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be real. It just has to be yours. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now you are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision away from momentum, from growth, from belief. And the best part, you get to make that decision today. No one can stop you. No one can make it for you. It's yours. Decide and then move, because the life you want, the one you think you're late for, it hasn't left. It's waiting for you. Regret is one of the heaviest emotions we carry. It can linger in the back of your mind like background noise, quietly reminding you of what you didn't do, what you missed, what you should have started earlier. It's easy to let regret convince you that because you didn't start then, you shouldn't start now. But that's where most people get it completely wrong. Regret isn't a reason to stop. It's a signal that something still matters to you. It's a sign that the dream, the idea, the goal is still alive. And if it's still alive, that means it's not too late. You're not too late. So many people let regret become a wall. They use it as proof that they've already failed. But regret doesn't have to be a wall. It can be a window into what you truly care about. A window into the version of yourself that still wants to rise. You regret what you didn't do because part of you still wants to do it. That desire, that spark, isn't something to ignore or feel ashamed of. It's something to listen to. We're taught to run from regret, to bury it, to pretend it doesn't exist. But regret only has power over you when you keep it in the dark. Once you bring it into the light, it becomes fuel. Yes, you didn't start that business 5 years ago. Yes, you walked away from that opportunity. Yes, maybe you stayed silent when you should have spoken up. But the fact that it still bothers you means it still matters, and that means you have a choice. You can use regret to beat yourself down, or you can use it to lift yourself up. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable has regret. Nobody gets it all right. Nobody takes every opportunity at the perfect moment. But what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck is how they respond to regret. One group lets it define them. The other group lets it drive them. So how do you turn regret into fuel? You start by changing the story. Instead of saying, "I missed my chance," say, "I've learned from the past, and now I know exactly why this matters to me." That shift changes everything. Regret becomes a teacher, not a punishment. It becomes insight. It becomes clarity. It becomes the emotional push that gets you moving again. Think about the energy regret holds. It's intense. It stays with you for years. But that energy can either stay locked inside eating at you, or it can be redirected into action. Use that energy. Use it to write the first page, to go for the walk, to apply for the job, to start the conversation, to say yes when everything in you is scared to. That's how you take power back from regret. You move forward even with it sitting beside you. And let's talk about the fear that often shows up right next to regret, the fear that it's too late, that you've missed the moment, that everyone else is ahead. That fear is just your brain trying to protect you from failure. But the truth is, not acting because of regret is the only guaranteed failure. When you do nothing, nothing changes. But when you act, when you try, possibility re-enters your life. One of the most freeing realizations you can have is this: you are allowed to begin again as many times as it takes. Regret does not cancel your future. It informs it. It gives it depth. It gives it meaning. Some of the most powerful stories, inventions, and careers came from people who finally got tired of regretting and decided to do something about it. So if you're sitting with that heavy feeling in your chest, wondering if you've missed your shot, know this: you haven't. You're feeling regret because your dream is still alive somewhere inside you. That's not failure. That's your inner wisdom reminding you that it's time. Not yesterday, now. You can't change the past, but you can make peace with it by using it. Let regret be your reason to move, not your reason to stay stuck. Let it sharpen your focus, let it deepen your purpose, and then take one small brave step. Because the second you do, you transform regret from a weight into momentum. The dream didn't die. It's waiting for you to choose it again, and you can, right now. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. In fact, waiting until everything is perfectly planned is one of the fastest ways to stay stuck. We live in a world that praises perfection, celebrates polished outcomes, and highlights success stories without showing the messy middle. And because of that, we start to believe the lie that we have to know exactly what we're doing, where we're going, and how it's all going to work before we're allowed to begin. But the truth is, clarity comes from movement, not sitting still. Too many people let uncertainty paralyze them. They think, I don't have the full plan yet, or what if I make a mistake? So they wait. They wait for the right moment, the right resources, the right mood, and they end up stuck in analysis paralysis, going over the same idea in their head for weeks, months, sometimes even years. But here's what they don't realize. Most of the answers they're looking for will only reveal themselves after they take the first step. You figure things out on the way, you learn by doing, you gain confidence by trying, failing, adjusting, and continuing. That's how growth works. No one who started something great had it all mapped out from the beginning. They had a vision, yes, but the details, they figured them out through action, one step, then another, then another. That's how momentum builds. It's okay if you don't know exactly what to do. It's okay if the path ahead looks blurry. What matters is that you trust yourself enough to begin to say, I don't have all the answers, but I know this matters, and I'm going to take one step forward. That's not weakness. That's courage, it's strength, it's leadership. When you begin without having it all figured out, you give yourself room to grow. You give yourself permission to evolve. You're not locking yourself into a rigid plan. You're allowing life to meet you as you move. That kind of flexibility opens doors. It puts you in a position to adapt, to discover better paths, to make changes along the way. But none of that is possible if you never take that first step. You might be thinking, but what if I fail? And that's a fair question. But let's be honest, not starting is already a kind of failure. It's choosing to stay stuck. And even if you do make a mistake, you'll learn something. You'll be further along than if you had done nothing. That's progress, that's experience, that's building resilience. Every step you take teaches you something new. And those lessons are worth far more than any perfect plan on paper. Look around at anyone you admire, someone who built something, achieved something, overcame something. I promise you, they didn't have it all figured out. What they did have was the willingness to start before they were ready. They had the guts to step into the unknown. That's what separates action. Takers from dreamers. It's not certainty. It's not perfection. It's the decision to move even when the path isn't clear. And here's something powerful to remember. You can adjust as you go. You can shift direction. You can course correct. Nothing is set in stone, so stop waiting for the entire staircase to appear before you take the first step. You only need to see the first few, and once you step forward, the rest starts to unfold. The people, the ideas, the resources, the opportunities, they often show up after you begin. So if you've been sitting on an idea, waiting for the right moment, this is it. This is your permission slip. Start messy, start unsure, start small, but start. The clarity you're looking for, it's waiting for you on the other side of action. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to have the courage to begin. And when you do, you'll realize something extraordinary. You were never supposed to have all the answers from the start. You were meant to discover them along the way. You don't need anyone's permission to start. So many people wait for validation. They wait for the right person to say, you're ready. They wait for the right opportunity to fall into their lap. They wait for someone to believe in them before they believe in themselves. But the truth is, you don't need anyone else's approval to take the first step. The only permission you need is your own. If you've been holding back from pursuing your goals or starting something new because you're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay, this is your sign to stop waiting. You don't need someone to give you the green light. The world doesn't owe you an invitation, and neither does anyone around you. You have the right to choose your path, to decide that your dreams are worthy, and to take action regardless of whether anyone else agrees with you. This is a difficult truth because so many of us are conditioned to seek approval from a young age. We're taught to follow the rules, to get validation from teachers, parents, or peers, and to fit into predefined boxes. We learn that in order to be accepted, we must meet certain expectations, and that's fine in many areas of life. But when it comes to your goals, your dreams, your potential, waiting for permission is a trap. The only person who can decide what's right for you is you. You are the one who holds the power to make decisions that align with your values and desires. And if you're not giving yourself permission to move forward, you're essentially handing that power over to someone else, someone who may never understand your vision, your ambition, or your true potential. When you wait for someone else to give you the okay, you're letting their limitations dictate your possibilities. Let's be real for a second. No one is going to walk into your life and tell you exactly what to do. No one is going to hand you a roadmap that tells you exactly how to get from where you are now to where you want to be. That's not how life works. It's a journey that requires self-reliance, decision making, and a belief in your ability to navigate the unknown. The only permission you need is the willingness to take the first step, even if you're unsure about what comes next. You can't wait for someone to give you the green light because, frankly, you might wait forever. Think about the people who have made a difference in the world, the innovators, the change makers, the dreamers who created something out of nothing. They didn't wait for someone to say, "Now's the time." They didn't wait for permission to pursue their passions or to push boundaries. They simply went for it with the belief that they had something valuable to offer. They didn't let anyone's doubts, including their own, hold them back. And you have that same power. It doesn't matter if you've never done it before or if others think you're crazy for trying. It doesn't matter if you feel unsure or if you failed in the past. The only thing that matters is that you give yourself permission to start. That's all it takes to begin the journey of growth, achievement, and self-discovery. Here's the thing, as you move forward, you'll gain confidence. The first step is always the hardest, but every action after that will make the next one easier. You'll learn, adapt, and grow in ways you never imagined. And along the way, you might even find people who will cheer you on. But that doesn't matter as much as you think, because your belief in yourself is what's going to carry you through. And it's not just about taking the first step. It's about continuing. It's about not waiting for perfection or external validation to keep you going. Because the truth is, most of the time, the only person who truly needs to believe in your dream is you. When you trust yourself enough to make the first move, you're teaching the world how to treat you. You're showing up for yourself, saying, "I believe in me, and that's enough." If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. This is your green light. You don't need anyone else's permission to take that first step. And you definitely don't need to wait for the stars to align perfectly. You just need to trust yourself and believe that you are worthy of your own time, energy, and effort. Because when you start believing in yourself enough to take action, you'll be amazed at how the world starts to respond. It's not magic, it's self-belief in motion. So stop waiting. Stop asking for permission. Your dreams, your goals, your future, they all start with one simple decision. The decision to believe in yourself and take the first step. You've got this. It's time to move.